Hey, yeah, like I said before, man, it ain't really nothing I can say that ain't already said. In regards to the persecution on my life, all my quotes, I got over 18,000 of them, handwritten, you know what I'm saying? Things I wrote with myself from my own mind. My quotes, my recordings like these, and my poetry, which is my art, are all complement each other, you know? It's who I am, and what I've been going through. I've explained, all the way, till I can't speak no more. There's really nothing else I can say that ain't already said. I explained what, the attack was on my legacy, how, without my knowledge, like I posted some new, or not new, but some of my old poetry, and I reposted it, like things I wrote years ago, all throughout the years, while, simultaneous to this persecution and everything. And I was writing out of desperation, but at the same time, it was my legacy of my art, because I'm an artist. So before I started getting attacked, and I started recognizing the attack I was under, I was still writing things that was, not related to any type of persecution. Over time, I was forced to encapsulate, I was forced to, speak on the persecution and also my regular, my normal form of, in the way things worked out, it all was in sync with the Bible anyway. So, I can't say all of it, it wasn't supposed to happen. It's just strange that it did happen, so it's been the same situation the whole time. So a lot of things I didn't even know. Like I learned in later years, things that I didn't know back then at the time when this stuff was happening. Like I didn't know that while I was being attacked, okay, I had things going on, I was getting like attacked, like in my personal life, with violence. And so I would talk about that and I react to it through my poetry because what else can you do? I had tried everything else, to get help for myself, everything. But yeah, I didn't even know, while I was being attacked, my personal life with violence, I was talking about that in my work, and little did I know it was influential figures, that I didn't know. I didn't even know about. I didn't know much of, but they were like sticking themselves with my legacy. Like they were attaching themselves to my legacy, inserting themselves where they definitely did not apply, simultaneous to the things that I was going through in my personal life. And that was happening when I try to react to, what I'm going through, the desperation there, I make these quotes and I'm asking for help, from the whole world. I'm like bringing awareness to my situation because it was something that I was not, I had no understanding of, And I'm looking at, and so over time from experience, that's how I know what I know now. I learned, through experience how the world works, but I didn't know these things, right off the bat. Over time, now I'm familiar with, things, and that's the way it went. But yeah, they was, like, I don't understand, it was attaching themselves to my legacy in order to later destroy it, which I said in quotes, years ago already. So I was telling the whole world, what's going on and reporting it to the whole world, what's going on, so they see what's going on. So I'm like, anybody who care about God, who care about what's right, because that's another thing. My legacy was for God. So that's what makes structures and stuff anti-God, after the point where they had awareness of what was going on to this work for God, work of God. And what they allowed to happen to it in spite of, being notified, in all directions, pretty much just trying to, out of desperation. I was just a regular person. You feel me? Well, I had extraordinary talent though, natural literary talent. And that's the way it is. These words and these quotes, I think of myself, just like my art and my poetry and stuff. And they sit there and watch me all year, every year, create this content, you know, and, you know, they lie on me on purpose. You feel me? And in order to destroy me. You know, they doing this, they crucifying the Lord. You know what I'm saying? In these things that's happening to me. All this work, all of this was the part of the same thing. You know what I mean? I seen the circumstances all arranging all the way, you know, to equal up and result in the circumstances like what we see now in society. You feel me? I saw it way back, you know, until 2014. How these circumstances were being arranged and organized, you know, around my life. I was being mocked on high levels, and I just did not understand it. You know, I did not understand. I didn't even know my identity in God until like 2017. So when this stuff was happening back in 14, you know, I definitely had no clear understanding of any of it. You know, I didn't even know the part some of these influential figures had in my life. I didn't even know they were aware of me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Let alone this evil that's, you know, was premeditated on my life since I was practically like born. You know, it was happening the whole time. I had no knowledge of it till like, I don't know, man. When I first started realizing I got under attack was like 14. Then I wasn't able to make sense of it till like 17. And I mean, it was the same situation. It's all been the same situation. You know, different years, every year, the same situation. And, you know, different people, you know, got different, you know what I'm saying? Like they play different parts of it. But I mean, this is a situation that's true. I mean, report the whole thing to the world. I mean, I ain't had no knowledge of none of this, you know. Like I ain't know about cults or none of that. You know, I just knew it's somebody else, you know, trying to take my art or claim my art or something. I'm sitting here writing this stuff, going through hard times with blood, sweat, and tears. You feel me? And, you know, to turn out that on the low, my stuff being, you know, like attributed to others or something like that's weird. You know what I mean? That's something that can't be forgiven. You know, I mean, the Lord even told me that he can't forgive that. That's some things you can't be forgiven. And that's one of it, because those that was involved, you know, they did what they did in it, and they had awareness and knowledge, understanding that, you know, the contrary was true. Just like the slanders and stuff. They knew before they uttered the slanders that the contrary was true. You feel me? That's the kind of thing. Like, that's the situation. Like, they knew the truth in advance, but then they did that for some type of ulterior motive or secret agenda to destroy my life. So, I mean, all of it, when you factor in everything together, it shows you a larger, more sinister picture. And that's the reality. You know what I'm saying? It's a bigger, you know, more sinister situation going on and have been going on for the last 8 years. You know, and actually, in all honesty, the last 24 years. But I've been aware of it these last few years. I mean, because they anticipated that that's around the time I would start to make sense of what's happening in my life, you know, as a regular person with, you know, just regular growth. You know what I mean? Human growth, you know what I mean? People that's like 7 years old all the way to 12-year-old, you know what I'm saying? They not going to have off muscle knowledge of complex crime and organized, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they not going to have understanding or knowledge or things like that if they were not raised or, you know what I'm saying, brought up in such a reality. You feel me? You going to know what was instilled into your heart. And for me, that was church. You feel me? So these things were happening after those influential figures knew what I stood for. And the structures were allowing them to do this after they became aware of it. After the structures also saw and knew what I stood for and what I was, my whole purpose and legacy was about. And that was to glorify God from the beginning to the finish, you know? And that's the difference, you know?